Do you know someone amazing? Someone who has a unique job or hobby? Maybe someone involved with an interesting organization, be it a creative community or a charitable mission. There are people like this hidden in our community, living their daily lives all the while achieving incredible goals, creating works of art, inspiring others to be their best, or just generously donating their time. This show is about putting a spotlight on these members of our community. I'm Ben Harris, a 2017 graduate of Shrewsbury High School and alumnus of the SHS Speech and Debate team, here to introduce a new show that will be hosted by different members of the current team each episode, showcasing their talents as they work to deliver these enriching community stories to you as we celebrate these quiet but undoubtedly impressive individuals. Simply put, we want you to stay with us for a moment, because these are the people you have to meet.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of You've Got to Meet. My name is Paulina Hruskoci. I'm the president of the Shrewsbury High School Speech and Debate team, and today I'll be interviewing my coach, Marc Rischitelli. He is the coach of the Shrewsbury High School Speech and Debate team, and it is only fitting that he is here at this episode, as the preceding episodes will be hosted by members of my team. Marc, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure, Paulina. My name is Marc Rischitelli. I'm a lifelong resident of Shrewsbury. I was a member of the speech team back when I was in high school and basically never left. Started assisting my coach, and then my wife and I eventually became the head coaches, and we continue today these many years later.
So how many years have you been coaching the team?
I started coaching when I was in college in 1987. Became the head coach about 23 years ago, I think around 1995. And with my wife, when our first son was born in 98, she backed off for a little while, but then he eventually went to middle school, joined the middle school team, and she came back as well, my wife Charlene.
And I can say as a member of the team, it is so awesome to have a coach who's as dedicated and as experienced as you are. Can you tell us a little bit about what Speech and Debate is?
Well, the Speech and Debate team at the high school it's the largest non-sports team in the school. The students compete in traditional debate events and other current events as well. But also acting, interpretive reading, and it is a competitive activity as well. So it's a little strange. We're not a spectator sport. We don't sell tickets for people to come in and watch. But those that do come in and see really do enjoy it. And the activity itself, I'm not a teacher in the school, so we meet at night on Tuesday nights. The season for the team, as you know, is unlike any sports team. It runs from basically September through June, so we've got multiple seasons. The events we have range from dramatic performance, poetry reading, to congressional debate, extemporaneous speaking, original oratory. So there's a lot for different kinds of kids, and you've done almost all of those.
Yes, almost. Not quite.
But competition-wise, we compete on Saturdays, as you're well aware, getting up early on a school bus, dressed in a suit. And most of the competitions follow a pattern of 3 preliminary rounds. They break to elimination rounds, some direct to finals, some to semifinals on the local level anyway. We compete in 15 to maybe 15 local tournaments and another 4 national invitationals. Plus we have the 2 nationals that students have to qualify that happen in May and June. So it's a difficult thing to sort of paint a picture of for people. Yeah.
So you mentioned school buses. Now, when I became president of the team, I actually was given this bus, and it has names of all the past presidents on it. What I'm wondering is if you could tell me a little bit about the significance of the bus and kind of the history of the team, because honestly, I'm kind of confused about why I got this. Of all items, I got a school bus.
Why? 4 years of your life, you're going on to a school bus at 6 o'clock in the morning and not getting back till 9 o'clock at night. So it's simple representation of that. I'm going to grab it for a second, though. But also, this dates back to, I can see 92.
Yeah. The
So-
tradition didn't start when the team started, but
Yeah, so 1992. The team goes back much further than that. But actually, the team goes back probably over 100 years at this point. And Shrewsbury's always had some sort of debate team. And let's see, 92. So I would have been around assisting my coach, who was Kitty Viscardi. A lot of people, maybe watching, had Kitty Viscardi as a speech teacher. And the team's evolved quite a bit since then. I mean, back then it was a small club. We like to refer to it as a team because we do, I'm going to put this down.
yeah.
It's falling apart. We like to refer to it as a team because there is a very competitive atmosphere, and we have grown to a point where we're competitive on a national level. But the bus itself, other than being a direct representation of what we do, reflects Mrs. Viscardi, Mrs. V, my coach, philosophy of you're a winner the moment you step on the bus. And even though we've gotten larger, have a little bit more emphasis on the competitive nature of things, we still go back to the roots of philosophies like that the students that are doing this are getting so much more out of it than just some trophy or medal or even just making friends. They're getting a lot more out of it. They were a winner the moment they stepped on the bus.
So can you also describe kind of your personal history with the team? You kind of mentioned it, but being here for all these years, what have you kind of seen as the team changed over the years? What changes have you experienced?
Like I said, we've grown quite a bit, and I think that was, I don't know if I consciously wanted to do that. I'm a competitive person by nature, so we're lucky in the sense that the activity lends itself to both being educational and competitive at the same time. So we were able to, I think I grew the team in that sense, maybe thriving on other students' feelings of competitiveness as well. I know that you're very competitive.
Yes, I am. I have to say, I mean, a lot of my friends are too,
So we've seen it grown in that regard, but we still try to fall back on philosophies like, winner the moment you get on the bus. Another thing that Mrs. Viscardi used to say is sometimes the student needs the team more than the team needs the student. And that is a reminder to us that this is an educational activity. And although competition can be educational, we like to still remember the philosophies of people before us.
So can you also describe, who helps you out? Obviously, you can't coach all 90 of us on your own, but
No. Yeah, I mean, we are at about 90 people on the team right now. Back when I was on the team, there was maybe 20. Probably not 20 people that were very committed. But obviously, no, I can't do this alone. As I said, I'm not a teacher in the school. I have another full-time job. I'd like to say this is my second full-time job. So we have now, I think, about 10 assistant coaches. Basically, they volunteer their time. There's a small, minuscule stipend involved, but none of them do it for the money. We have people that have been around the team for a while, whether they're just someone from the community. Vivian Powers, who actually also coaches the middle school team that we started probably back in early 2000s. Another alumnus, Christina Manos, is the one who got that started, and it still continues today. We have assistance from actually Vivian's son, Craig Powers, who comes in to coach. Former parents, or I should say parents of former students who have never left, have always been a big contributor to the team. Peter Collins, who people probably see on this channel sometimes, has been around since his son was on the team and stayed afterwards. I probably should not fail to mention my wife, Charlene, who was also a member of the team. She and I, we did meet in high school. I know a certain producer of this show wants me to mention that we did a category together called Duo Interpretation, and she's now my duo partner for life.
So speech and debate doesn't only help you with careers. Sometimes it can help you find your love.
Yeah, you can keep hoping. And let's see. Now I'm going to forget people.
Okay,
So moving on, we have alumnus who come back as well. Hannah Hopkins was a member of the team, but she's also now a teacher at Sherwood. And she's an assistant coach. She's dragged along her husband, Gabriel, to help as well. We have alumnus also in today's technology that can coach via Skype. So we still want them to be dedicated, and we interact with them and discuss where things are going as far as who they're working with. But some people who are still in school or out of school in some cases, but Kylie Donovan, who's at George Mason University, will Skype in. Sean Lambert, who's living in the Washington, D.C. area, will Skype in. His brother Jeremy Lambert, who lives in town, comes in and coaches as well. Who am I missing?
Lindsay, Scott.
Well, Scott Karen. Scott Karen would kill me if I missed saying his name on television. Scott graduated years ago. He is someone I confide in as far as directions for the team and certain members to go. He's a great resource, and he'll Skype in as well. And then we have other people who aren't always available to coach, but like you said, Lindsay Donovan and other people who will Skype in from time to time. But people's lives go on, but as long as they can give back as much as they can, that's great. We spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah, but I think,
name dropping, so everyone's happy.
The main thing I kind of got out of that too is just the huge family culture that's present on the speech debate team. It's not just about talking or competing, with talking. We have a lot of fun too, and a lot of people come back.
They do. I mean, the family culture there is very important, and the fact that the kids will come back, and they're still kids. If I go to their wedding years later, they're still kids. But like you had said, you as a student, if I were to ask you, I'm like, what's the most fun about being on the team? I know I saw you when we were at the Yale tournament a couple of weeks ago, and you've met friends from across the country, and you see them at these national invitationals, and that's great, and you like hanging out with them, and you like the competitive atmosphere and winning the trophy here and there. And probably nowadays, or at least this time of year, you like the fact that you can put it on your college application too.
That's true.
But there's so much more, and I know deep down that there's so much more than that immediate reward that you get from being on this team. And just training people in life to have general communication skills, writing skills, but organizational skills, critical thinking, research, developing a team mentality. Performers are in a unique situation because even if they're an actor, they're creating a scene out of nothing. I mean, there's no props involved. They're playing every character, and they need to create this picture for their judge and their audience. And that's something that people that are just working in the acting world don't necessarily do, as far as having a tool for them to develop their performance and their character more fully in that regard. So all of these things sort of translate to what they do after high school. I mean, there's the traditional, everyone says, oh, everyone on your debate team, they all become lawyers. Or when you explain to them there's also acting events, they say, well, you have actors too. And we do. We have people that, work as actors and have become successful lawyers, and that's great. But we have people in all professions. And the number one thing they will always say is this was the most important thing that helped them to succeed in their chosen career. They're able to speak in front of a crowd, and they realize well into adulthood that that's something that a lot of people have anxiety over doing.
So can you describe some of your kind of greatest memories with the team? You're describing all the kids you've obviously coached over the years. What are some good experiences you remember?
So as I get older, it's harder to remember. I can read the names off the bus, and it's nice. I mean, look at the names on the bus, and I remember a lot of those presidents of the team. I remember all the presidents of the team. I don't know that I could name them off in order for you, but there are a lot of memories, and again, it becomes like a family. So it's sort of sharing in the same way they would share, family memories. We do travel quite a bit, so we're in sometimes smaller groups, but even when it's a larger group of 20, 30 kids, it's still smaller than the 90 students on the team. So you're able to develop a relationship with kids over the years. I guess the best memories are sort of sharing the journey with certain people. Sometimes that's sharing, a journey for them to have success. I mean, obviously, I remember, I hesitate to say, my first national champion, but I guess the first national champion during my tenure. I remember fondly the tournaments leading up to that national tournament. But that's the thing. It's not sort of one thing in particular. I mean, I remember the moment when they announced the second place person, but it was all the memories sort of leading up. But also, I remember students that might not have had great success, and seeing where they came from their freshman year till the time they graduated, and what the team did for them.
That's as big as an accomplishment,
They were a winner the moment they stepped on the bus.
So can you also describe kind of, you're very involved in the speech debate community, not only at Shrewsbury, but you've also been higher up in the numerous organizations of speech and debate. Can you describe kind of your experience with this?
Well, the team is members of 3 different leagues. The local league is the Massachusetts Speech and Debate League. There's the National Catholic Forensic League, which is not just Catholic schools, obviously, but public and private schools as well. And then the National Speech and Debate Association, which houses the National Honor Society of Speech and Debate, which is another component of being on the team. The fact that these kids earn membership in a National Honor Society based on their achievements and by competing. I have served. It's giving back. I guess I didn't give my full history. The fact that my uncle was the longtime speech coach at Natick High School. He's actually a graduate of Major Howard Beale High School in Shrewsbury. He's now retired, but I started going to the activity with him in 1978. So that was a long time ago. And so I grew up in this activity, both on the local league and the national league, so on a national level. So I did serve as president of the Massachusetts Speech and Debate Association 2 times, and I'm currently the moderator for the local Worcester League for the NCFL, and the district chair for the New England district of the National Speech and Debate Association. It's a lot. It's a lot on the plate, and I'm slowly trying to parcel that out to other people. And it hasn't always been at all at the same time. But it's important to give back. I mean, because I started at such a young age, I almost became an elder in the league at a much younger age. So I was able to give back and sort of train other people. But we're also very lucky in Massachusetts. We have a great relationship with all of the coaches in the state, and we're very friendly and sharing, and hopefully that gets passed down, so that even though all of our students are competing against each other, it's trickles down so that they become friendly and can compete in that manner. And when we are at a national tournament, you see Massachusetts or New England come together as a group to cheer on anyone who is advancing on the national level.
I
Doesn't
mean, I
matter what
remember.
school they're
Yeah, like
from.
we watch, we go support, we sit all together and cheer on, and I think that's a different culture in Massachusetts than I think other parts of the country, and that's really amazing to see
Yeah, it
too.
is. I think we're very proud of that. I mean, other, and if other parts of the country want to emulate us or try to, that's even better.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you also say what do you think the biggest thing you've learned from the team as a coach or as a student? What's your, why do you keep coming back after all these years to keep coaching?
I think I'd have an answer to that after all these years. Obviously, I haven't learned to master all the skills just based on this interview. But no, I think the number one thing I've learned, or I try to remind myself, is not to forget why I'm doing this, because it is to see, it's not just to see people succeed competitively, even though I want to push people to do the best that they can. It's really, regardless of the outcome, it's that journey that they've gone down, and the life that they will continue to have, and how this can help them moving forward. The activity does, I feel like it keeps me young, hanging around young people, even though they, it's tiring after sometimes. The rewards far outweigh, I guess, the aggravations sometimes of dealing with teenagers, having had 2 of my own.
Absolutely. Can you also kind of talk about, there's some traditions, in the Massachusetts Speech and Debate League that stand to this day. I know that there's some tournaments we attend that you might have attended when you were in high school.
Sure.
Kind of how has that all changed over the years as well?
There's, as we said, there's probably 12 to 15 local tournaments in the Massachusetts Speech and Debate League. The oldest of which is the Holly Festival, which is held at Natick High School. But we're also proud to say that the Holly Festival actually started in Shrewsbury. It was a very tiny debate tournament over 50 years ago, and then it sort of went away and got reincarnated as a very large tournament at Natick High School that we continue to go to. Happy to say we've won it a few times.
Yeah.
And we have sort of taken from that and developed our own tournament. We have a Mardi Gras themed tournament, as you're aware, every year at Shrewsbury, and that has become an equal as far as size and competition to the Holly. So I think those are the 2 most well-respected tournaments throughout Massachusetts. And again, we just want to give kids a good competitive time, but we put a little festivity into it as well. Again, I had said in the we're not really a spectator sport, but the fact that we do host that tournament in Shrewsbury, usually it's the first Saturday of March, And we also host another tournament in early February, one of the national qualifiers. Those are technically open to the public. If anyone wanted to come in and see, they're welcome to get in touch, and we certainly have them, and maybe even train them as a judge to come in too.
So I feel like the largest natural struggle that comes with coaching a team is obviously not everybody can make the team nowadays. It used to be kind of everyone that wanted to join could. Can you describe kind of how the numbers have grown and how we've been kind of forced to make that decision as well?
Yeah, there used to be, I know when Mrs. Viscardi was alive and teaching, she taught speech class that every freshman had to go to for a quarter during their English their English class during the year. They went to speech for one quarter. And she used that to recruit people to the team, certain people that she saw something in, or maybe certain people that she thought needed the team. But we don't have that luxury anymore. Even if there was a speech class, there's a lot more interest in joining the team than we have the capacity to take. Even with all of these assistant coaches, which is great, there's still only a limited amount of coaching time. Plus, without getting into all the details as far as entering tournaments, there's limited space as far as getting people entered into different events, and not to mention the cost of buses and whatnot. So we try to accept, I know we do accept minimally the most we possibly can, and we're usually a little bit over. I think it's great that the interest is there. We have tryouts or auditions now, and it's the most difficult time of the year for the coaches because we know, we're disappointing some kids who really would want to do this, and it's a mix as to how we decide who comes on the team. I mean, it's obviously it's a big commitment, and that's a big thing that we are looking for. But there also has to be something within that student already. It's not, there's a little bit of a misunderstanding, I think, that you join the speech and debate team because you're very shy and want to learn how to come out of your shell and be a better speaker. And although that could happen to people, depending on different levels, it needs to sort of be a step beyond that for someone to start on the team.
Well, I think the thing to keep in mind too is it is a competitive team. It's not just a club, and we visit so many national tournaments annually and such. So it's something to keep in mind, for people that want to join the team. Can you also describe just kind of the Shrewsbury team? We have a lot of national recognition that I think is worth noting. So I know we came in 6th at Yale.
See, I'm very competitive, but I don't always remember what awards that we have won as a team. We did just come in 6th place this year at the Yale Invitational. It's a national tournament, mostly East Coast, but there's people all the way from Florida. Yeah, 6th was good. You did well, but we again as a team. I mean, I know that we've had many individual successes, but it is those team awards that mean a lot because it is a sort of a compilation of everybody's efforts, whether that's locally or nationally.
We kind of have to start to wrap up a little bit, good. But that was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and describing kind of your time with the speech and debate team.
I'm happy to be here, and
yes.
happy you guys will
and
be
thank
hosting.
You so much for everything you've done for me and all the kids on the team over the years. We really appreciate it. So to anybody else who's watching this show, do you know somebody that we should meet? If so, use the contact information below and let us know. Thank you for watching.